In this video, we are going to talk about invest some money and get monthly income. So before starting this video, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for the future updates. Why invest for passive income? People invest in income-producing assets for many reasons. Who wouldn't want to earn more money without having to go out and sweat for every cent? A few of the more common reasons why you might pursue passive income include: to enjoy an early retirement. No one says you have to wait until 65 to retire. With enough passive income, you can cover your living expenses, so working becomes optional. That simple concept serves as the foundation for the financial independence. Retire early movement. You can retire young if you pump enough savings into income-producing investments. I've known teachers who have retired at 30 because they built enough passive income from rental properties. To enjoy a more comfortable retirement. Yes, you will probably collect a small check for Social Security benefits each month after you retire, but that doesn't mean you'll be living large. The more passive income you earn from your investment portfolio, the better the quality of life you can lead in your later years. To reduce dependence on your job. Being fired ranks among the worst experiences most of us face. It leaves you feeling not only rejected and broke, but it also lays bare your dependence on others for your livelihood. Losing your only source of income makes you feel utterly helpless. When you have other sources of income, however, you don't feel nearly the same helplessness or desperation to find a replacement job immediately. You can take your time and find the right job at your own speed. Number 10. Dividend-paying stocks and funds. One of the simplest and most common forms of passive income is dividends from stocks, mutual funds, or exchange-traded funds. You buy a share, and that share pays you a dividend each quarter indefinitely. Some stocks pay higher dividend yields than others. Of course, one stock may pay an annual yield of 1% of its share price, while another pays a yield of 5%. To reduce the risk in your stock portfolio, consider buying exchange-traded funds that own a wide range of dividend-paying stocks, so you don't overinvest in any one company. Open a brokerage account if you don't have one already. It takes all of 5 minutes. I use Charles Schwab because they charge no commissions and offer an excellent free robo-advisor service. Number 9. Bonds. The other classic paper asset. Bonds typically pay out interest payments until they mature and you get your initial money back. If you're new to the concept of bonds, they're basically a loan from you to a borrower, which you can sell on the secondary market to another investor at any time. Bonds come in two fundamental forms: government bonds and corporate bonds. In recent years, bonds haven't paid out the same high returns that they did in the 20th century. In an environment of perpetually low interest rates, many investors have a hard time getting excited about bonds. Still, bonds have historically played an important role in reducing sequence of returns risk for retirees. Because bonds tend to be lower risk, lower return investments, many investors gradually buy more bonds as they approach retirement as a strategy to reduce risk through their asset allocation. Number 8. Rental properties. Rental properties are a great source of passive income. They generate ongoing income without you having to kill the golden goose and sell off any assets. That means you don't have to worry about safe withdrawal rates or sequence of returns risk as you approach retirement, at least not for your rental income. In fact, real estate assets drive your net worth higher over time, as the properties, hopefully, appreciate in value and your tenants' rent payments pay down your mortgages. Rents also adjust for inflation, so you don't have to worry about inflation diminishing your returns. Number 7. Public real estate investment trusts. Through your brokerage account, you can buy publicly traded real estate investment trusts just like stocks or exchange-traded funds. That makes them the most liquid option for investing in real estate. Unfortunately, it also makes them the most volatile. The SEC requires publicly traded real estate investment trusts to pay out 90% of their profits in the form of dividends. That means real estate investment trusts tend to pay high yields, but it's difficult for real estate investment trusts managers to grow their portfolios, which limits real estate investment trusts' growth potential. If you want a fast and easy way to diversify your portfolio and add real estate, public real estate investment trusts are a simple first step. But because they trade on stock exchanges, they tend to move more in line with stock markets than other real estate investments. Number 6. Private real estate investment trusts. Private REITs are another story. These privately owned funds typically invest in commercial real estate, often apartment buildings, and allow individual investors to buy shares in the funds. Unlike publicly traded REITs, private REITs don't offer much liquidity. Most funds clearly state that they represent long-term investments, often 5 years or longer. Some allow investors to sell their shares early, but usually with a penalty. For investors who don't mind parking their money and leaving it, private REITs offer a great option for passive investing in real estate. Number 5. Crowdfunded real estate loans. Another indirect way to invest in real estate is investing solely in real estate secured debt. In the past few years, a wide range of real estate crowdfunding websites has arisen that don't invest in real estate directly at all. Instead, they serve as hard money lenders, making short-term purchase rehab loans for house flippers. These sites lend money for a flipper to buy and renovate a house. Then they recoup that money through investors like you. In many cases, they let you pick and choose individual loans to fund, and they pay interest based on the degree of risk in each particular loan. Number 4. Private notes. A private note works similarly to real estate crowdfunding, but without the lender as the middleman. Instead, you directly lend money to another person or company. Ideally, this is someone you know and trust implicitly, because if they don't pay you back, you don't have many options at your disposal beyond guilt-tripping them. I lend money sometimes in private notes to real estate investors I know and trust. For example, I lend money to that teacher who retired at 30 and her husband for their rental investments. They get flexible financing, and I earn a high return without having to mess around with screening tenants or unclogging toilets. They've always paid my interest on time. Be careful with this option if you don't operate in the real estate investing world yourself. The risk directly correlates with how well you know the borrower and your confidence in their experience. Number 3. Business income. I own an online business that I love and plan to continue managing for many years to come. My partner, however, is nearing 60. She no longer feels the same affinity for the headaches and stresses of running a business, so we've started planning her exit. That doesn't mean she'll stop earning money from the business. Although her salary will cease, she'll still earn distributions as a business owner, even if she never helps with affiliate marketing or contributes as a blogger again. Starting a business allows you to leverage other people's time and money to create your own passive income engine. What starts as a hobby business can evolve into something larger and more complex that takes on a life of its own. And a successful business continues generating money even after you hire someone else to run it for you. Explore some potential hobbies you could grow into a money-making business, and build your own empire that endures even after you bow out. Number 2. Literal income generating machines. Still looking for passive income ideas? Consider actual income producing machines, such as laundry machines, automatic teller machine, arcade games, bar games, or vending machines. The hard part of this strategy is finding a building to agree to let you install your machines. From there, you simply have to service them occasionally to keep them running and periodically stop by to collect your coins. It's not a bad gig, and it's one you can delegate to employees relatively easily. You may need to pay your salespeople a residual commission to sweeten the deal and get them hustling for you, though. Number 1. Residual sales income. Some sales jobs pay ongoing, residual commissions, not just a one-time commission. You bring in a client once, but keep getting paid as long as that client stays with the company. For example, some life insurance salespeople are paid both an initial commission on a sale and a percentage of the policy's monthly premium every month that the client pays until the policy ends. Although you probably shouldn't choose your career based on the commission structure, residual commissions do create passive income for some salespeople. In some cases, salespeople only earn residual commissions for as long as they continue working for the company. But other companies keep paying residual commissions even after employees leave, giving them a runway for an easy landing in retirement or for entering a new career. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoy this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.